Americans are big tippers, but a new article in New York Magazine looks at whether we should be so generous. We are the 20%. Explores why most of us feel pressure to pay up, even after getting mediocre service. Author Adam Platt is the magazine's chief restaurant critic. He's here at our table now. Welcome.
How are you, sir?
So what did you find out?
Well, I found out, first of all, that Americans are addicted to tipping. We tip way more than anybody else, any other countries, and we do it for several reasons. I think we want to be altruistic.
Yeah.
We think we're going to get better service. That doesn't often happen. But mostly we do it because we're in this sort of zombie-like haze, and everybody else is doing it, so we're going to do it too.
Yeah, you call them tipping zombies. I certainly plead guilty to that.
Well, I'm a tip zombie.
Well, if you've ever worked in a job where you need tips and you rely on tips, then you sort of recognize when you tip that it's important to tip a lot.
Yeah, and the system is skewed. I mean, certainly in restaurants, which we know about, the system is this Byzantine system, which is legally designed for you to tip and for the people who survive on tips to angle desperately for you to tip. And there's really no escape from it in this country.
And the better known you are, the more likely you are to tip more, I think, because you don't want them to say.
Well, in this piece, I talked to this waitress, in this piece, actors are huge tippers.
Right.
Not because they're generous, although maybe they are, but because they are very visible and they don't want to be known as a sort of a meager tipper. And I follow this waitress around, and the biggest tip she ever saw was from Matt Damon, who left I think $650 on a relatively small bill.
Well, he's just a really nice guy.
And I'm sure he's a wonderful guy.
But you did an experiment. What did you do, and what did you find out?
Well, I went to Singapore to eat, and what I noticed in Singapore and New York are quite similar cities. They're sort of obsessed about food, and they're very service. People just eat; they don't really cook. Anyway, what I noticed about Singapore is nobody's asking for my tips. The cab drivers are very. I try to pay them here, and they accept it gratefully. So then I come back, and I go. I'm going to try to go for a day.
And not tip.
No, I would tip, but I would tip based on what I thought was merit and friendliness and general good cheer. So I would tip not because I was supposed to, but because I thought somebody earned it. Anyway, so I avoided, I gave my barista, my favorite barista's got like a bunch of buckets now. They used to have one bucket there. Anyway, I went through the day, and I took my cab to the restaurant, and I thought the guy.
What happened? Because you had 30 seconds.
Okay, what happened? Okay, so what happened was that the cabbie, I didn't tip him. He got mad, and I went to the restaurant, and I was seated at a bad table. You know, it was noisy, and I said, "Okay," to my guests, "I'm not going to tip now, or I'm going to tip 10%." And they went insane and said, "You better tip." So I did.
Thank you,
Adam Platt, thank you so much.
You don't get a tip.
Coming
Adam
up,
Platt.
Sin City.